All right. So I don't know why I'm so nervous. I'm easy with students, but is the camera? The fact that you can't.
You're being intimidated.
You can't mess up. I'm gonna try not to.
Own it.
Own
You
it.
got
Own
this.
it. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Don't forget the timer.
Timer. I need to time it.
Can it be like a 3-minute thing?
No, each slide it has a time that I have to do, so I can do the 30 minutes. And there's gonna be some activities that I'm gonna ask you to do. It's super simple. It's just to talk to each other, and I'm just reviewing.
Okay.
All right. So. Thank you so much again, Mr. Garcia, because you were just walking around. He was walking around, Mr. Garcia. I know that you have conference, that's why I stopped you. All right.
I have another teacher if you want me to go ask her too. If you needed more heads.
No, I'm fine with this. I'm already nervous as it is.
Nervous,
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So I appreciate you all being here. So today we're going to be going over focusing on something that we all see in our classrooms and that students are struggling with. But before we begin, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. My name is Jesse Garcia, and you are?
Vanessa Garcia. Mary Cantu.
Eddie Garcia.
Thank you. So going back to the issue, it's not just getting the answers wrong, but it's really explaining how we got here. And so this isn't meant to be anything overwhelming. It's just really about tidying up what we already been doing so that students can think a little bit better. So this is what we're going to go over today. We're going to go over or focus on Teks. We're going to break it down and actually practice a strategy that we can take back into the classrooms right away. Nothing fancy, just something practical. And by the end of the day, I want you to walk away with at least one thing that you're going to be like, okay, I can try that tomorrow. So let's start with what we're seeing in the data. And honestly, this probably isn't going to surprise you. When I look at this data, what it shows is that EL and SPED students are consistently performing below the overall student group. And that gap really isn't closing. Second, across the 3 years, there's very little growth, and the numbers move a little, but not enough to show real progress. And the biggest concern that for me is that it connects directly to the inference questions, which you already know is one of the weakest areas for our students. So this isn't just a performance issue. It's telling us that our students are struggling deeper in thinking, and we need to be more intentional with how we teach those skills. Does that match with what you're seeing in classroom?
Yes, it is.
That's pretty consistent across the board. Going on to the next slide. So I also want to take a step further and really look at what's happening in the meets and masters. When we move from approaches into meets, and especially into masters, this is where we see the biggest drop. So as you can see right here, students are getting the approaches, but they're not making that jump into deeper understanding. So let me ask you this. Does part of this surprise you at all? Or does it feel pretty accurate based on what you're seeing?
It's pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And honestly, this is the part that concerns me the most. Because meets and masters, that's where the students actually show that they understand the content at a deeper level. That's why they're analyzing, making connections, and really thinking. So if they're not getting there, that tells us that it's not just a knowledge issue. It's also a thinking issue. So when we look closer at the student work, three things keep coming up. First, students stay at a surface level. They don't really go beyond what's directly stated. Second of all, even though they have a decent idea, they don't look back with evidence. And third, the biggest one, is that they don't explain their thinking. They will give you the answer, and they will not give you a why behind it. So the answer might not even be wrong, it's just incomplete. So what's causing this? The next question is going to be, why is this happening? And it comes down to a few things. A lot of students rely on guessing instead of actually working through the text. They struggle to pull evidence, and even when it's right there, the reasoning piece, connecting everything together, that's why they really get stuck. And honestly, this isn't just a student issue. This usually means that we have not explicitly taught them how to do this step by step. Let me show you what I mean. We give a sentence like, the character slammed the door and avoided eye contact. And we ask, how is this character feeling? And the student says, mad. And that's not wrong. It's incomplete. There's no evidence, no explanation, and nothing connecting back to the text. And this is the kind of response that we're trying to move away from. So far, any questions?
No, it makes sense.
So we're going to break down the Teks. So going back at the Teks, this standard is asking students to make inferences, to use evidence, and explain their thinking. And I think that sometimes we assume the students know how we do all three, but they don't. Especially the last part, explaining their thinking. What have you seen in your classrooms when you present material and have them provide critical thinking?
They do quick answers. They want to go with what's easiest, and they don't want to think about it. They just want to shout out an answer easiest, and then, when you try to explain or to try to present what you want them to explain, they're like, well, yeah, but that's what I meant.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
But yeah, I've seen that.
And Mr. Garcia?
Like especially if it's a multiple choice question, they'd rather guess than actually take the next step to dive into the text or whatever is being provided.
Mm-hmm.
They'd rather just guess and take the chance that it's right or wrong.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and see what's missing. So what's actually missing, students aren't explicitly taught to infer. They guess instead of thinking, which is what you mentioned, Mr. Garcia, and they don't explain the reasoning, which is what you mentioned, Ms. Cantu. So really what we're seeing is not just a student gap, it's an instructional gap. All right, so what can we actually do about it? There are just a few things that make a big difference. First, just asking, how do you know? That one question alone forces a student to think deeper. Second is making evidence a requirement, not optional. And third, modeling your thinking out loud. Actually showing the students what it looks like in your head. But that's something we don't always do, but it's really important. And do any of this three things that I present to you is something that you can see that you can start incorporating in your classrooms?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so here's the strategy we're going to use. It's simple. Claim, evidence, and reasoning. Claim, what do you think? Evidence, where do you get that from? Reasoning, how do those connect? And the one thing that helps a lot, especially for EL and SPED students, is using sentence stems. That structure gives them something to build off. We're gonna work on an activity, and the first thing I'm gonna do is the I do, where teacher models the strategy. So we have here, Maria started at her test, tapped her pencil and sighed. And from there, the claim, she is feeling nervous. The evidence, she tapped her pencil and sighed. Notice, I'm walking step by step. This is what students need to see. Reasoning is going to be that the tapping and sightings are physical signs of frustration and anxiety. Her body language lets her reveal her emotional state. Now let's work this together as we're doing this with our students. He checked his phone 3 times and kept looking at the clock. Now with a partner, apply the claim, evidence, reasoning framework to this passage. Be ready to share. So in this portion, you're going to talk amongst each other, and you're going to work on the 3 steps, which is the claim, evidence, and reasoning.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to give you some time to do so, to talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. So what do you guys think? I think this person is either late or waiting for somebody, or he has somewhere to go or something to do at a particular time, because he's checking his time and keeps looking at the clock and his phone. Maybe he's waiting for a phone call. Yeah.
Or he's tired, ready to go home.
So let's look at what, so
Well, the
we're already making
evidence-
the inferences, so what is the evidence pointing us to?
Well, the
So-
evidence would be that he checked his phone 3 times, and if he kept looking at the clock, it's something that's time specific.
True, true.
Yep, I agree.
So then, we would have to do the third part, which is,
The reasoning.
the saying, like, checking his phone and looking at the clock means that he's waiting for something.
Mm-hmm. Anticipation.
phone call.
Yeah, phone call, or
Maybe
maybe he has an appointment or something. Yes. But you can gather a lot from this this sentence. It doesn't just specify. So if it was a multiple choice question and it asks a question of like, what is this person feeling? Or what gives you the evidence? Because the questions on the STAR exam could be any type of questions based on this type of this answer. So by having a student look at the claim, check the evidence, and have reasoning behind it, any other questions that the STAR test might go ahead and be asked, the student has all 3 choices and is able to do a much more correct answer because they're thinking beyond what, as Mr. Garcia was saying, guessing.
Oh, wouldn't this also help with the process of elimination? They can eliminate things that are just doesn't follow what they thought about.
You're absolutely correct because sometimes if you're unsure of the answer, when you're giving answer choices in a multiple choice, you do see what's the most like not the right answer. And it does help you because if you see something that doesn't even make sense to what the sentence is, that is a good way of elimination. So you have less choices, so you're able to pick the correct one most of the time.
It can also trigger them to think about what they read, you know, before they come to the sentence stem. Like if it's a question, let's say they read a paragraph on somebody that was at the doctor's office and, you know, sitting there waiting to be called in. And then, so he's checking his phone, checking the time, looking at the clock. So he's like, hey, they never hurried up. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And so that can trigger the thinking of going back to the story and actually thinking about what the story was about and then selecting the correct answer.
Yeah. And most of the time is that they are given they're given some sort of literature and it's an entire story, as you mentioned, and they go back to this one sentence and then they ask for those clues. And so most of the time they already have most of the story because they'll read it beforehand and it allows them to answer a lot more correctly. And going back, let's look at what the Teks do go through. Right, so the student is expected to make inferences and use evidence from the text to support understanding.
Yeah.
And so reading this, it doesn't really explain to you how to do it, but going through this training, it allows you to see how they get to the point that they can answer the questions.
Right.
So you're taking, of course, it's the same thing that you're taking this Teks and expanding them so you can see how we can provide more support for our students so that they're better prepared when they're taking a test and moving them to hopefully to a meets or a master's results. So the one thing we want to again eliminate is going to be the guessing, not thinking. And one of the slides that we mentioned here is that we require text evidence. So going forward, instead of letting them guess, we're putting them accountable because part of the work that we're doing is making them show us the evidence. How did you come up to this reasoning? Like, what is your evidence from what you read? And so going back, if no evidence is cited, answers float without textual grounding. Students trust their gut over author's words. And then that leads to no explanations offered. So it's a slippery slope. If we start allowing the students not cite the evidence, then they have no explanation offered, and they don't see, and that's why they get to only the approaches level.
Yeah.
Let's go to slide 14. I think I passed it. All right. So in this one, this is where you're going to do independent practice. Her hands were shaking as she opened the letter. In your own write a complete response for using all parts of the framework. So let me provide you with some pencils and paper. Mr. Garcia, here's a pencil. It's going to do, okay, perfect. So write your claim, your evidence, and your reasoning. This is exactly what we want our students doing. Doing good, Mary? I'm going to give you just a little bit more time. All right, perfect. All right, so Mr. Garcia, we're going to begin with you. So her hands were shaking as soon as she opened the letter. So you were supposed to write your claim, your evidence, and your reasoning. So what was your claim?
My claim is that she's nervous about what the letter has to say based on her shaking hands. So I'm assuming this letter is important to her, and that's why she's nervous and shaking.
Okay, so when you wrote your claim was that she's nervous because of her body language. So what did you have as your evidence when you wrote down?
Her shaking hands.
Her shaking hands, all right? And the reasoning behind that is that you know that when people are shaking their hands, they happen to be scared, nervous, or have anxiety. And so you're drawing from your past knowledge to have that as your reasoning.
Yep.
All right? Ms. Garcia?
Oh, I had the same thing. The character is nervous, and the evidence was that her hands were shaking. And the reasoning is when your hands are shaking, that's a physical sign of high tension.
Oh, I like the word high tension, yes. All right, so you provided the claim, the evidence, and reasoning. Ms. Cantu?
Yes, so I put that also that she's nervous, as evidenced by her shaking her hands. And my reasoning behind it is because we know, right, we have knowledge that when somebody is shaking their hands when they're about to open a package, a letter, anything, that they're having some type of anxiety.
Yes.
You know, some nervousness, some type of feeling, you know, like something.
Absolutely, yes. What I like about it is that everybody had the same idea, but you all wrote down things differently, and you really opened up a lot from this sentence. Let me go to the next slide. So So reflection. So let's reflect for a second. Did you get all stuck somewhere?
I did, because when I got to the reasoning part, it was more about, I was trying to write the reason. I thought that reasoning meant like, well, reasoning from the text. So I didn't really, use, I guess, my prior knowledge. I don't know. I just thought, oh, well, she's about to open a letter, so it's obvious that she's open. That was my reasoning. But then when you explained it and said, no, you're gonna, when you're finding your reasoning, it's because we already know, because of our prior knowledge, that
Yes.
This can happen, and so that helped me understand it better.
Absolutely. And some of the times when you're reading literature, for instance, we tend to have that knowledge that there's a beginning, middle, and end. And some of the more interesting stories sometimes begins in the middle, and then there's a flashback and starts in the beginning. So it's out of order. And I know some people will be like, wait, what's going on here? But at the same time, if they were to use this type of structure, they can enjoy the story a whole lot more without wondering what's happening, because they're using, oh, I get it. Like they're going to explain what's happening, but that's probably the hook of the things. And I think that it allows the mind to open up a little bit more. But that was really good that you were wondering you can use your past knowledge. Mr. Garcia, do you have anything on that you got stuck on?
Well, yeah, because like the other day I was sleepy, and so I stopped at Dutch Bros. I got a picture perfect with 3 shots of espresso. So I was like, maybe she had a picture perfect with 3 shots of espresso. That's why she was shaking so much. Because it made me kind of shaky.
Been there, done that. Yeah,
After I was talking about the letters, like that's where I came up with she was nervous.
Yes, that was really good. That was so creative. Ms. Garcia?
Well, on my original claim, I put that the character is nervous, or she could have been excited, because when you're opening a package or a letter that you're anticipating, the shaking hands might be of excitement.
It could have been a college letter,
letter.
and so she's excited because she wants to see if she got accepted.
So I had originally wrote nervous/excited, but since they went with nervous, I stuck with nervous too. So I was just
I understand.
following the flow.
Yes, that makes sense. Was it the evidence and reasoning? We went through that already. What do you think your students, when they read something like this, what do you think that they get stuck on themselves? Maybe, I think it's also like they might not know if they should use their past knowledge.
I feel like we have to break it down for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if we give those instructions more clearly, they'll be able to understand how to use this strategy to actually be successful in answering questions on the STAR. But I feel like we have to break it down and help them understand how they can break it down and get a better answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's about learning what we can do for our students and something that we can actually apply tomorrow going forward. So how do we use this in a classroom? We have this actually in the next slide. So first thing is going to be daily warm-ups, quick practice. The next thing is going to be sentence stems, especially for support. And the last is making evidence required every single time. That's a strong one, because we saw in the previous slide that is a slippery slope. Once they do not include evidence, then they don't have the reasoning, they're just guessing. Is this something that we want them to stop doing? So the biggest thing is making it consistent. Nothing big, just consistent. All right. So exit ticket. What is one strategy you implement tomorrow? We need to go ahead and write that down, commit to it, and share with a colleague. Small, consistent moves build lasting student growth. So I'll give you some time for that, so you can write down what we can do what we can try tomorrow.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Sure. All right, so let's start now on this side. Ms. Garcia, what do you have?
Well, I put that I would require evidence in every response, whether it's oral or written. I have a habit of not giving enough time to answer questions, and now not only am I gonna give them enough time to answer the question, instead of answering it myself, I'll have them require evidence as to why they're responding or answering the way they are, whether it's while we're doing a quick classroom check or while we're doing a written assignment. I do tend to do a lot of multiple choice, so I can get away with that and just have them open-ended questions where they can write out their evidence.
Absolutely. I like the fact that you said that you're going to make it a requirement, and that would actually do the next step, which is that's going to cause them to have reasoning. Ms. Cantu?
I wrote down, also require students to provide evidence and reasoning on every question that they answer. So even if I do give them a multiple choice quiz or test, I can still have them write their reasoning or their evidence behind why they're answering the question the way they are.
Yes, it almost works like math, that you have to show the work in order for you to see how they got the answer.
Yes.
Yes, so I think that that's very strong. Good job. Mr. Garcia?
I agree. They need to show the evidence, so just require it, be more consistent, and have them show evidence besides just the answers.
Yes, and it's amazing the fact that we went ahead and got all of this from just one of the TEKs. Imagine going through all the TEKs and seeing what we can do to support our students. We'll go ahead and provide such more better results. Going back, nobody mentioned daily warm-ups. This is going to be sort of like your bell ringers, where they come in and they already know that they need to read a passage that you have ready for them, and that they need to do 2 or 3 sentences so they can practice their framework before the instruction begins. That's something that you can also apply as well. Require evidence, we already covered that. Everybody was saying that we need to require evidence, which I do agree. So let's go ahead and wrap up. Give me one moment. So before wrapping up today, I actually want to go over our references. I just want to briefly acknowledge the sources that help us guide through this training. This session was grounded in research on formative assessment, particularly the works of Black and William, which emphasizes how ongoing checks for understanding can significantly improve student learning. The next thing I want to go over is Bambrick and Santoyo's work on data-driven instruction, especially when it comes to using data and adjusting to teach in real time. And Stiggins, the work helped reinforce the idea of assessment for learning, not just giving a test, but actually using it to guide instruction. And finally, the campus data we looked at comes directly from Texas Education Agency. So overall, everything that we discussed today is rooted in both research and actual campus data. And that would be it. Thank you so much for having your time. I know that it is in your conference, and I appreciate it immensely.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
No problem. I'm ready for my 2 lunches.
All right.